Welcome to the present and future of e-learning. We're very glad to have you join us for today's webinar presented by Career Loans. Throughout this webinar, there'll be a lot of content and a lot of information. So we do want the listeners to be engaged and involved. So there are two features. There's the chat feature and the Q&A feature. You can see what these bubbles look like in the image. And any time during the webinar, please feel free to type a comment or ask a question on the Q&A. We will have a Q&A session after the panel discussion. So during that time, we'll answer as many of your questions, if not all of them, if possible. And we will get to that afterwards. So who is here today? You can see all our lovely faces today. But joining me, my name is Gavin L. Young. I am the content developer at Career Loans. I am joined by my colleague, Claudia Valenzuela, who will be moderating the panel discussion. She is an information and financial counselor with Career Loans as well. Our first panelist is Gillian Luff-Schieman. She is a panelist and a student recruiter from Norquest College. And our other panelist is Arnold Esguerra. He is part of the orientation to nursing for internationally educated nurses at Saskatchewan Polytechnic. So without further ado, we'll have a bit more introduction later, but without further ado, we want to talk very briefly about Career Loans. What is Career Loans and what is this program? Career Loans, we've been doing a lot of webinars as of late, and we're really hoping to impact the internationally trained community in Saskatchewan and Alberta. So please enjoy this short video about the Career Loans program.
Are you a permanent resident, convention refugee, or Canadian citizen residing in Alberta or Saskatchewan? Are you an internationally trained individual in a regulated or non-regulated occupation? If you are not finding a job in your field, need career counseling, are unable to secure funds for training, or have been declined for traditional loans, then Career Loans can help. Career Loans is a virtual program that has partnered with HSBC Canada to provide financial counseling, career counseling, loans of up to $15,000, referrals to employment services, alternative career advice, and a guide to the accreditation process. Our expert counselors will coach you on your career goals and enable you to reach your full potential. If you would like to apply for a loan, our counselors will refer you to our financial partner, HSBC Canada. After assessing your financial situation, if you are eligible, your loan will get approved. You then have up to 4 years to pay off your loan at an affordable, locked-in interest rate. This way, you don't have to worry about increasing interest rates or being buried under rising debt. Throughout the process, our expert counselors will be available to guide, mentor, and ensure you are on the right path to achieving your career goals.
So that was a bit about the Career Loans program. Claudia can talk more about that after the panel discussion. But here is today's schedule for our webinar. First, we will hear about who our panelists are in the panel introduction. The bulk of the presentation will be our second bullet points, the present and future of e-learning. That's when our panel discussion will talk about the present and future of e-learning. Number 3, that's we'll end off the presentation with a short description about Career Loans program and how Career Loans can help internationally trained individuals return to their careers. And afterwards, we will have the Q&A session where we will look at the chat and the Q&A questions and answer anything you may have, any questions you may have. Before we begin, I just want to let you know we will have a survey. Of course, you don't need to do it now. At the end of the presentation would be ideal. I will send out this link again as well. But your feedback will be very important to us so that we can continue delivering great webinars such as this one. And one more promotion before I pass it on to Claudia. Career Loans, we do have a social media contest going on right now. You can win this awesome back to school loot bag, so to say. We have water bottles, we got a Career Loan pen, notepad, little phone screen wiper, and a drawstring backpack along with a $25 gift card. So follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram, and you can have a chance to win this amazing prize. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it on to Claudia Valenzuela, who will be introducing our panelists for today's session. If you will, Claudia.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Hello, everyone. And as my colleague mentioned before, I am the Information and Financial Counselor for the Saskatchewan province. I also have my dear colleague, Rodika Barbu, for the province of Alberta. That is part of our program as well. So I am very excited to have our panelists today. And thank you so much for taking the time to be here, Arnold and Gillian. We really appreciate that. So this webinar will cover information such as things to consider before returning to school and how e-learning will influence your education and how career loans can help international trained newcomers continue with their careers of choice. So a little bit about the panelists. So first of all, Gillian Luff-Schieman is a post-secondary education professional who has been working in post-secondary institutions in British Columbia and Alberta for the past 12 years. She currently works as a student recruited at Norquest College in Edmonton, where she has been developing community connections and advising prospective students for the past 4 years. With a very diverse educational background, including event management, public relations, and political science, Gillian is passionate about helping individuals determine their own educational paths to reach their personal and career goals. And on the other hand, Arnold Esguerra is an international educated nurse, what we call IEN in a short-term form. And he's from the Philippines. He moved to Canada in 2010, and due to changes at the time in registration process for international educated nurses, he had to work as a career aide and eventually as a licensed practice nurse. In 2013, he finished the bridging program for international educated nurses and started to work as a registered nurse. He was also given the privilege to teach with international educated nurses for that program. And in 2017, he finished his master's in nursing, major in family nurse practitioner. Aside from teaching this program, Arnold works as a nurse practitioner in the primary health care of the Saskatchewan Health Authority in Regina. So as you can see, they have a very diverse background and an incredible experience, and we are so lucky to have you on board today. So a little bit about Gillian's role and Arnold's role would be next. So Gillian, up to you, please.
Great, thank you, Claudia. Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I think it's pretty beautiful across Canada today from what I've heard. So thanks for being here in the webinar on such a gorgeous day. Like Claudia mentioned, I work at Norquest College. We are located in Edmonton, Alberta, but we have a number of programs that we offer online as well. So even if you're not located in Edmonton, there's still the possibility of taking a program through Norquest from wherever you are located. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I have a brief presentation about Norquest that I want to share with you all. So just hang tight. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So who is Norquest? So like I mentioned, we are Edmonton's community college, and we serve over 19,000 learners per year. We are also the only public college in Edmonton. And so we serve those 19,000 learners through our programs in Edmonton. We also have a campus in Wetaskiwin. And like I mentioned, we offer lots of online programming as well. I'm going to briefly run over everything that Norquest offers, and I'm also going to share a brief video with you, but just an overview of the types of things that we offer. Includes certificate and diploma programs in the health field, the business field, community studies, so that's things like human services and social services, and even some other areas as well. We also have university transfer opportunities. So we are a college. You cannot get a full bachelor's degree with us at Norquest, but you can transfer diplomas from Norquest to university, or you can take our specific university transfer program if your goal is to go on to university and get a degree. We also offer academic upgrading. So that's Alberta Education High School courses for adults. We have English language training, so LINK for permanent residents. That's a free program funded by IRCC. We also have our ESL intensive program, so lots of English language training options, some employment certificates, and even some continuing education courses and programs as well. So lots going on at Norquest. We know that people have lots of options to look into when they're pursuing their education, but there's some things that we think make Norquest a little bit different and make us unique. So I just wanted to quickly highlight those. The first is that Norquest is very well known for being workforce relevant. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we develop our programs and we maintain our existing programs throughout our partnerships with people that are working in the industry, business, and the public sector. So we want to ensure that the programs that we're offering are relevant, they're timely, and that they're training individuals with the skills and knowledge they need for actual careers that are out there in the workforce. It also means that we offer work experience or practicums or clinical placements in almost all of our programs. So regardless of what you're studying, you will have the opportunity to get hands-on work experience in your field before you graduate, which is really great once you start looking for employment because you have professional experience in Canada now in your field. You have made references and connections in your field, and people that can serve for you when you start looking for employment can serve as a reference for you, a Canadian reference. Another great thing that we pride ourselves on is small class sizes. So we're a large institution. We serve about 19,000 learners per year, but we make sure that we keep our class sizes low. So the average class size is about 35 people. This enables you to get to know your instructor and your classmates and have a really good support system in each of your classes. We also offer open studies. So if you're not sure you want to commit to a full Norquest program, but you want to get a taste of what that program is like, you can take courses through open studies, or you can also, if you're waiting to start an official program at Norquest, you know you've got 6 months, maybe 10 months before you start, you can get a head start on your program through open studies as well. I mentioned earlier, we have university transfer options. So that's what laddering and transfer opportunities is referring to. Lots of opportunities for diploma program graduates to go on to university. And then you can also get transfer credit to various institutions for specific Norquest courses. So when you take a Norquest education, there's opportunities for growth and there's opportunities for transfer elsewhere. Our admissions at Norquest is a little bit different as well. We are what are called non-competitive admission. So that means that we admit people based on first qualified, first admitted. We do not compare applications against other students' applications. If you have a program you're interested in and you meet the minimum admission requirements for that program, the academic requirements and the English language proficiency requirements, and there's seats available in the program, you will get a spot. So that's really helpful when you're planning for your future to know if you're going to get into a program or not. We also have flexible ways to meet admission requirements. So you'll see there it says most programs accept -2 courses. So in high school in Alberta, there's a couple of streams. There's -1, there's -2, some places have -3 and -4. Lots of institutions only want to see -1 from their applicants. That's the highest, most academic stream of high school courses. Most programs at Norquest will also accept the -2 stream. We also allow students to do assessment tests to meet academic requirements for certain programs. So if a program you're interested in has a math requirement and you didn't take that math course, but you feel confident in that level of math content, you can do an assessment. And if you're successful, we will accept that in lieu of the actual course. And finally, we also offer conditional admission. So if you want to apply to a program, if you're taking one of the required courses at the time of application, you can still secure your seat in that program. You don't have to have finished the courses when you apply. Okay, and finally, the Norquest experience is kind of unique and wonderful as well. So we offer a variety of different support services for our students. It's available online or in person to support them and ensure that they're successful while they're studying with us. So I won't go into each of these, but I just wanted to highlight a couple. We have our services for students with disabilities. So if you have any learning or health concerns that you think that you might need accommodated, we will work with you to ensure we put any kind of accommodations in place to ensure that you're going to be successful. Another great one is our free tutorial and academic coaching services. So if you've ever hired a tutor before to help you in your studies, you'll find they're quite expensive. Norquest, if you're a student with us, you get access to free tutors. There's no maximum, so you can see a tutor every day if you need to. So that's a free service that we provide to our students as well. On top of all of our support services, we also have lots of ways to get involved. So if you're in Edmonton and you want to get involved, you can become a student ambassador. So being a part of college events, meeting notable people, getting lots of experience for your resume. We also have a students association. They run the student government. They put on lots of different events, just lots of opportunities to get involved and meet people. Okay, so I have a brief video I want to show you here. Of course, we're all online, so we can't see what it's actually like to be at Norquest, but this video gives us a good insight into what it's like there.
From a young age, I've been instilled with the values of like, oh, education's important because it'll get you where you want to be in life. Each program is like a tight family unit and you'll feel very involved and have all the help that you need, and it's just a very welcoming place and I enjoy it a lot.
So my parents moved from Congo to Zambia, that's where I was born. I came to Canada in 2015. They told me, Norquest is a good place, especially for you as an immigrant. For me right now, I don't feel like I'm somewhere else. I feel like I'm home.
If a student, for example, doesn't have a very good family environment, they can come into this school and you'll automatically feel like you're part of a family. You'll never feel alone. There's always people around. There's always help around.
People, when they immigrate to another country sometimes, they feel they can't come to school. But once you make that decision to say, I have to go to school, it's very easy for you.
If you're going into post-secondary with a mindset of growth, Norquest is definitely a great place for that because it is a place where you'll feel involved and welcomed and not a place where you'll feel alone.
If you decide by yourself to say, this is what I need, and you know the benefit that comes out of the decision that you're making, you need to do something that you love.
Okay, so that was the video, give you a little insight into Norquest and some of our students. I just want to quickly wrap up by just mentioning what kind of programs we offer. And I'm not going to go into detail about every program, but just so that you're aware of the type of things Norquest offers. So like I mentioned earlier, our academic upgrading and ESL programs, if English is a barrier and you need to improve your English proficiency. And then we also have a number of different post-secondary programs. So a number of programs in the health field. Certificates are always 1 year or less. Diplomas are 2-year programs. We also have our business programs as well. So mostly certificates, but we do have a business administration diploma. These are all of our community studies and human service type programs. So a few certificates, a number of diplomas. Addictions and mental health recovery is what's called post-diploma. So that's for people that already have a diploma or a degree in a health or human services field. And if your education is from, another country, an international education, that can count towards that requirement. This is our university transfer program, the first year of your bachelor's degree. And then I can talk more about continuing education later, but these are a number of different courses that you can take to improve your skills, enter into a new career, a wide variety. And I can always share this slideshow as well with Claudia, and if there's any demand for people to see it after the date, then perhaps she can email it out to you if that's possible. Okay, so I know we're not doing questions now, so ignore that questions, but this is my contact information. So if after today anybody would like to speak with me or ask any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me directly. I'd be happy to hear from you. But that is it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gillian. That was an amazing, amazing information. We appreciate that, and lots of notes that I took about the program and how we can combine all those services together, because we are all here for a purpose of assisting clients the best possible way. That's our main goal. So now, much appreciated. Now, next in line, Arnold, we would love to hear from you, and then we'll continue with the panel questions later on.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Claudia, and thank you, Gillian, for starting this presentation, and Gavin as well. As Claudia mentioned earlier, my institutional affiliations, just allow me to share my screen here for easier reading and recognition of names. So as Claudia mentioned earlier, I'm Arnold. I'm an internationally educated nurse from the Philippines. I am affiliated with the Saskatchewan Health Authority as a nurse practitioner, working in the intermediate care services in the community. And I'm also part of the COVID-19 pandemic response team right now. But for today, I am representing Saskatchewan Polytechnic as a faculty member of our program called Orientation to Nursing in Canada for internationally educated nurses. We shortly call it ONSIEN program, but officially this coming fall, it will be renamed as the Registered Nurse Bridging Program for IENs. So I think we have 26 participants here, minus the 4 of us, Claudia, Gillian, and Gavin. So there are 22 participants. I'm hoping there is one nurse in the group. I'm not sure if I did not receive the list of the participants, but I'm hoping there is a nurse. There is a nurse in the group right now, because if Gillian talked about the Norquest College as a whole institution, I am wanting to talk about more about a specific program in Saskatchewan Polytechnic, which is the ONSIEN program. So the scenario right now for internationally educated nurses, you arrive in any of the province in Canada, then you will be needing to upgrade your credentials to meet the competency set out by the regulatory bodies, such for example, the Saskatchewan Registered Nurse Association, or SRNA. And for that reason, you need to process your papers to become a registered nurse in this province, or in the province where you are right now. So in Saskatchewan, we have this program called ONSIEN in Saskatchewan Polytechnic. Okay, so this program was developed in 2008 in response to emerging IENs from other countries seeking licensure here in Canada, particularly in Saskatchewan. Currently, we are unable to accept internationally educated nurses from Ontario because of the difficulty and challenge we have with the licensure body there. Saskatchewan Polytechnic is here to help you gain the knowledge and skills to work as a registered nurse in Canada. We have students coming from different provinces, mostly in Saskatchewan, of course, British Columbia, and Alberta. Since 2008, there are more or less 500 IENs graduated from the program and have seek employment in different provinces, which, as I've said, mostly from Saskatchewan, BC, and Alberta. The program is unique in a sense that it orientates you to the changing landscape of the Canadian healthcare system. You will also be focusing in the different areas of nursing here in Canada, such as health assessment, the common health challenges, communications, which is a big gap for some internationally educated nurses, and care for the elderly clients. You will also study medical technology, terminology, and drug therapy theory in Canada. It will also include a course that studies on regulations, ethics, safety, and cultural competency. You will also explore issues generated by language barriers and cultural differences. And you would also have to practice your clinical skills and in comparison with the techniques and equipment here in Canada. You will also have an opportunity to take part in simulation labs and supervise clinical practice education. And lastly, we will try our very best to prepare you to write the National Council Licensure Examination, or the NCLEX, to become a fully practicing registered nurse here in Canada. The program is delivered in a 64-week time frame. You will be doing 4 semesters. Each semester would be 16 weeks. That is our full-time option. You can also do a part-time if you wish to. You will, if you're doing full-time, you will more or less finish, you will finish the program within 2 years. And the good thing about our program is it's fully delivered online, except for the 2-week lab and the instructor-led clinical and a preceptor-led clinical, which will be in the different hospital institutions. If you live in outside Saskatchewan, you will have that opportunity to do that in your home province. Right now, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have our 2-week lab on hold right now, and we are doing virtual lab. We are doing e-learning, basically. We are integrating some videos, some online presentations in our lab, because we cannot meet in person just because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is how the program is outlined. You will have 4 semesters, as I've said, and these are the courses that you will be taking. You will be taking Nursing in Canada, Fundamentals of Canadian Nursing Communication, Health Assessment, Pharmacology, Adult Health Nursing, Gerontological Nursing, and your Clinical Skills Lab and the Clinical Practice Education. So why do you need to choose SAS Polytech for your bridging program? The Saskatchewan Polytechnic Orientation to Nursing in Canada program is highly regarded across Canada, and because we are offered online, you will have full access to your instructor. They will be giving you support via telephone and email. So with that, you can work from home, and you can do this with your own time and your own pace. Again, you have that 2-year period to complete all the courses, because we understand, I personally understand an immigrant's life. We don't want to stop working. We just want to work and still achieve our goals. So this is a great program for those who are nurses, or for those who are internationally trained nurses. So if you have other questions and needing more information about admission requirements, tuition, and fees, you can check this link. If you wish, I could send this presentation to Claudia as well, so you can have this link as well. And if you have any other questions, you've seen my contact information at the beginning of Gavin's presentation. You can email me and ask me some questions regarding the program that I am into right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arnold. We appreciate that information as well. It's another aspect of what both of you are doing. And certainly, since you both mentioned about COVID and the challenges that many people are facing in terms of changing your pattern of learning, your usual way of learning. Some of us might be comfortable in doing everything online, some others only in person, and this is the first time for many people just doing courses online. So we appreciate your insights and the information about the program. I find that there are lots of opportunities for individuals to have great support on both ways, and in Saskatchewan as well as in the program at Norquest, and it's amazing, particularly for international trained individuals. Myself, as an international trained individual, many months ago, I'm not gonna tell how many, but I face challenges that I totally understand, and these services are so great, the programs are so tailored to the needs that I'm glad that we are here today. So with that in mind, I'll start with the questions for today's panel. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna address a question first, perhaps to Gillian, and then I'll move on to Arnold and so forth. So then we have opportunity to hear your input. And if you decide or you desire to include additional information that might be relevant, you are welcome to do so. This is a pretty relaxed presentation. I wanna make sure that we provide the best tips and suggestions for the participants. Okay, so with the first question would be for Gillian. What do we have to consider before returning to school? Considering also that most of the participants are international trained individuals and are not quite comfortable after so long of working in their home places and all of this, and it's like, okay, I need to do something about moving my career ahead. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure as somebody that was internationally trained, you'll probably have some really good insight as well that I don't have, but I definitely have some things to consider just looking at school in general. If any of you are thinking about returning to school to get a credential or take courses. So the first thing that I would say is when you're investigating schools, definitely first thing to consider is investigate private versus public. So public institutions are funded, government funded, and private institutions are privately owned. So they're typically private businesses. So that's always something I recommend before you commit to a private institution, do your research about it. Definitely look at the reputation, same for public. You definitely want to do your research about the institutions before you commit to a program. Because once you take that program at that school and you graduate and you start looking for work, employers look at institutions differently and they might have a preference of graduates from specific institutions. So that's the first thing I would say. The next thing I would say is you want to think about how long you want to be in school for. So I mentioned that Norquest offers certificates and diplomas. Certificates less than 1 year, diplomas are 2 years, but you can do education that's longer than that. Of course, you can do a degree, a bachelor's degree, that's 4 years. You could get your master's, you're looking at 6 years. You could get your PhD, you're looking at least 8. So think about how long you want to be in school when you're considering programs. As well, how much do you want to spend on school? So typically, the longer the program, the more that you're going to be spending on it. So you want to think about that and what's reasonable for you if you need to borrow money through a career loan or a student loan, and how long you want to spend paying that loan back. So think about that as well as interest rates that come with loans, all that kind of stuff. I would also think about what's important to you in a school. So our class size is important, our student support's important, are the ability to be involved on campus important? Do you want to attend a school where there's opportunities to grow and transfer? Do you want to take a program that has a work experience? Do you want to take programs that have flexible delivery options? What about childcare? Does the school you want to go to offer childcare? As well as, of course, like I mentioned earlier, the reputation of the school. So those are all things to consider. You also want to think about the career that you're looking for. So what type of career do you want to have and what do you actually value in a career? So if you want, the type of job where you're working Monday to Friday, maybe 9 to 5, you probably might not be interested in healthcare because healthcare can be shift work, evenings, weekends, on call. So you want to think about that. But if you're also somebody that you want to help people, that's something you want to think about as well. Maybe you're not going to be as satisfied in business that you might be in healthcare. So you want to consider those things as well before you return to school or you commit to a program or an institution. So that was it for me about that, but I'm sure Arnold has some good insight as well.
Sure. Personally, when I started my plans of going back to my nursing career here in Canada, I actually considered a school that offers flexibility. I think that's a very critical point for internationally trained individuals, because again, immigrants would want to work. They want to earn here. They want to earn money while they're here, and at the same time, immigrants are goal-driven. You know, they want to achieve their goals, their long-term goals and all that, and would want to work at the same time achieving that goals they have. So flexibility is a good consideration. When I went back to my school, both for my RN and nurse practitioner degrees, I both enrolled in a fully delivered online program, with exception to the clinicals and practicum. So that kind of paved the way for me, because I was able to reach my goals. At the same time, I was able to earn and help my families out in the Philippines.
Okay, thank you so much. So here in both comments, I believe that the online education has a lot of advantage in terms of number one, flexibility, right? Because you not only necessarily have one thing to do, but many, and you have to wear many hats as a mother, father, as a student, as a co-worker. So there are many challenges that have been taken under consideration, and online makes that education possible, which before it was more challenging. And also if you are located in a remote area, it's even better, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, thank you so much for that. So the next question would be, what sort of things to consider in order to prepare for school? What are those 2 or 3 things, for instance, Arnold, that you would suggest the audience to take under consideration before getting ready?
Yeah, so I believe the number one consideration for internationally trained individuals in going back to school is, to be honest, financial status in Canada here. Are they compensated enough to live here in Canada, at the same time to support their families who are residing outside Canada? Or is their present job matches the career that they have for themselves when they were in their home countries? When they the readiness for that is determined by their financial status. You know, going back to school is very expensive. And of course, that kind of limits you in working probably a full-time job. So for me, that's the biggest consideration, your finances. And at the same time, your other resources, such as your time. Do you have the adequate time to pursue a degree, right? Or to pursue or to do like a bridging program, like like the Onchen program. Or probably you are already well compensated working as a care aide. So I get, and I think the third point here is your long-term goals, right? Do you want to be do you want to work your real profession, or do you just want to stick into something that compensates you? And if that is enough for you, then it's good as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else in addition to Arnold's comments, Gillian?
You know what, a number of the ones that he said were ones that I had written down for myself as well. The only other things that I would say from what I've seen in the past of people that have applied and paid and, we're planning to attend and then, we're no longer able to, things that were barriers to them were childcare. So if you're going in person or, if you're committing to an online program, you need to have childcare in order is a big one, I think. As if you're going to in-person classes, you need a reliable method of transportation. So that's something that I would say as well. And then finally, with this huge move to online learning is make sure you have the required technology tools in place. And if you don't, funding piece, you need to have some funding available to access that technology if you don't already have it. So that's just a couple of other things that I would recommend before committing to school to prepare.
Perfect, thank you so much for that. And last question would be for both of you. How is virtual learning different from classroom learning? And any tips for e-learning that you can share with the audience? Any of you that would like to comment?
I can start and then see. Okay. So first thing is At Norquest specifically, and I think at a lot of other institutions, there's usually two types of online learning. There's what's called online real time, and then there's what's called online anytime. That's what Norquest calls them. It might also be called synchronous or asynchronous. There could be different types of terms for them. But for us, online real time, that means that while you're studying from home, you do have scheduled classes, virtual classes that you will need to attend. So you have a set schedule. The other type of online is that online anytime. That's the most flexible option. That's typically, you have 16 or 20 weeks to complete a course, but you work on it when it's convenient for you. You don't have any scheduled classes. So when you're looking at online deliveries, keep that in mind. Find out if they're synchronous or asynchronous. And if you're working, if you have children, what is actually going to work for your schedule? So that's a big thing I would say to think about with e-learning. I would also just recommend that you take advantage of support services that are available to you from different institutions. Like I mentioned, we have free tutorial services. Take advantage of those. I meet so many students that struggle and don't even realize that there's all these supports available. And I know all other institutions offer support services as well. There's also virtual office hours, usually with your instructors. Take advantage of those. The other thing I think about with e-learning is you're kind of lacking that in-person community. So you might want to try to reach out to classmates, develop a virtual study group, or try to build that community, because that's really important to keep you motivated and keep you successful. And then the final thing that I would say that really differentiates virtual learning from classroom learning is when you're at home, there's distractions, of course, right? Everybody has them. So you want to make sure that you have a space in your home that's relatively quiet and secluded, where you can work and where you can focus, and where it's kind of understood with your family that when you're in there, that's your school time and you're not available for other things. So I know that that can be difficult, but that's something that I would just kind of recommend preparing before you commit to a virtual program.
Excellent, excellent, Gillian. Great tips, great tips. Thank you so much, Gillian. Arnold, would you like to add anything else?
Just one more point, probably being, you don't need to have a proficient level in using computer or using technology, but at least you should be familiar in, I guess, turning it on and off and going to the site, because I had some challenges with other students, especially those students who are not who are not used to using computers. But as Gillian has mentioned earlier, there are lots of resources that you can avail, and even in the institution where you will be doing your program, take advantage of those and get as much as tutorial as you can, and those support. So that could be mitigated by that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And I would say I've been part of that process as well as a student, online and not online, and definitely don't be shy to reach out to these excellent services that you have available on campus, and with career advisors, with support financial services, even if you see that things are a bit tight, because when you are a student, you don't have much money. So there are choices out there. Find out what type of bursaries might be available, what type of additional programs would support your efforts, and that's when also later on we'll talk a little bit about career loans that can support those efforts too. So thank you very much for that. And we have time for one more question. Do you have any time management tips for the students that you can share, especially for other learning students?
Time management is a very, very crucial skill to have when you are in an online learning platform, because again, it's easily to get distracted when you're doing an online program. With time management is one thing that I tell my students. at the beginning of our semester is to take note of those important dates, like the due dates for your assignments. Gillian made a very good comparison about synchronous and asynchronous learning method. So even their asynchronous delivered asynchronous in an asynchronous pace, you still need to adhere to the deadline set by your instructor. So one thing that you need to do is set dates for those, and make yourself available probably a couple of 1 week before the submission date of your assignment, for you to have that clear thinking, and for you to able to finish your assignment with and able to pass the course, because you don't want to repeat these courses, right? I mean, they're expensive, and at the same time they're time consuming. So you want to make sure you do them right, and at the same time you don't want to repeat them, because again, you don't want to spend more money aside from what you have already spent.
Yeah, thank you so much. Those are great tips. And one thing that I remember about my personal experience again was that with time you have to use different schedules, and depending on your learning style. I remember myself having a physical copy with all the different colors of deadlines. Also, I had all on my Google to remind me, also on my phone. So you have to keep up to and what's going on with that department, right? Because it's so crucial, absolutely. Otherwise, you're going to feel frustrated. And at the same time, if you are attending 1 hour of class, that means that you have to study 2 or 3 hours in addition to absorb all the information, right? So, okay. Well, perfect. Thank you so much for that input. So we are right now, we are going to take some questions from the audience. So I will pass it on to Kevin.
All right, great webinar. I appreciate Claudia for moderating questions. We do have a few questions in the Q&A, and afterwards Claudia will return for her career loans presentation. One of the questions we received from our listeners is maybe both of you, this is for both of you, Arnold and Gillian, what is the future of e-learning for both colleges? How have your respective colleges adapted since COVID-19? So maybe Gillian, if you can go first.
Sure, that's a really good question. So the first thing I would say is that Norquest College has actually been doing e-learning for a number of our programs for at least 10 years. So we were actually really well prepared to adapt to moving to online learning, because we already had a number of programs that ran online, as well as staff and instructors that were very familiar with offering things online and different services. So for me and what I experienced, it was actually quite a seamless adjustment to being offered online. I would say, you know, as difficult as this whole pandemic has been, there's also been some things that Norquest has identified are opportunities that we've learned from this situation as well. And recognizing that people are so capable of working from anywhere, and virtual is a real possibility for a lot of students. Of course, in-person will return when it's safe to do so, but I think we're going to see a lot more services being run online, you know, doing a lot more webinars for our institution, offering a lot more online supports, and offering programs that were previously only in person through an online delivery. So I definitely think this situation has changed education, and we'll definitely see it adapt in the future for sure.
Great, thank you. Arnold?
Yeah, so similar to Gillian, our program has been online since its inception. So we are not really affected by the change in the educational landscape caused by COVID-19. The only thing, or the only part of our program that is affected by COVID is our lab. Because at the end of your, the 4th semester of your stay in our program, you need to have a 2-week lab. So due to COVID, we cannot do that face-to-face lab. So what we've done for the last semester, actually, and I'm also teaching that course, is I delivered it online. So again, with the use of different videos, different pictures, other tools such as virtual simulations, case studies. So those tools able us to meet the preferred learning outcomes for that skills lab, and still prepared our clinicals for our students to their clinicals. The clinical portion of our program right now is still ongoing. Our students are not assigned to the institutions with positive COVID cases, just because nothing really replaces hands-on practice, especially with your nursing skills. So we don't want to take away that from our students. So we're still doing that clinicals face-to-face and in the different institutions.
Awesome, great, thank you. So it seems both your institutions are and have been well equipped with e-learning, and it's safe to say for the most part, not smooth sailings, not sailings as usual, but both well equipped institutions.
Adaptable for sure, I think.
Very, very adaptable.
Yeah.
Arnold, I believe we have some nursing related questions.
Yes,
one of our listeners one of our listeners asked, if a nurse who last practiced more than 5 years ago, is there a program available for a nurse who practiced more than 5 years ago?
Yes, for sure. Actually, one of the related programs one of the programs that is very much related to the Onchen program is, we call it registered or re-entry to nursing practice. I think it will be renamed as, I forgot the new name for it, but it's a re-entry for nursing practice. So it's a program that is very close and very tied to the Onchen program, because I think when you try to seek registration here, especially in Saskatchewan, they consider your number of practice hours, and if you don't meet that practice hours, you will be sent to a different program. So the difference between the two programs is basically the return to nursing practice. You will have more theory courses as compared to the Onchen program, which are only basically 8 courses that you will be taking.
Okay, great. And as always, I'll have Arnold's email up later so we can have any more follow-up questions. There is some more questions for Arnold, and I think we have a bit of time, so it's okay. Arnold, is there a minimum language level requirements to take the registered nurse bridging program for IEN? Especially with the majority of the program being online.
Yes, yeah. So definitely there is. I am not just sure about the scoring or the marks that you need to have for IELTS or I think there's another English proficiency test. It's called CELBAN. I'm not sure the exact scores that you need to have. And it also depends on your regulatory body. Because again, we get students coming from BC, Alberta, and Manitoba as well. So depending on your regulatory body, they have their specific English requirements. So you need to check that with them. And again, compare the options you have, you know. Personally, when I took my English proficiency test, I like CELBAN better. It's easier than IELTS because CELBAN is, I believe, more designed for nurses. Yeah. So it's relatable in that sense, aside from IELTS, wherein you will be asked anything and everything under the sun.
Yeah. Last question, if we have a bit more time. Arnold, are there any similar programs like the Registered Nurse Bridging Program for IEN or for other fields of practice, example, CCA, business, engineering, etc.? Yeah,
so I'm quite actually confused with this question because so if you want to work as a CCA, if you're a nurse from your home country and you want to work as CCA, I don't think you need to take a CCA course anymore, because I think you're actually more than qualified to work as a CCA if you have a nursing background. With regards to other fields such as business and engineering, there are programs in SAS Polytech, but I'm not sure if they're particularly designed for internationally educated or trained professionals. So I'm not quite sure about the other fields, to be honest.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I think with any more questions, Arnold and Gillian will have their email contacts afterwards. But Claudia, if you could come back in, we have a brief message about career loans.
Yes, thank you again. So just tidying up everything, I'll share my screen for talking a little bit about career loans. So just give me 1 second, please, to share the screen. Okay. So please let me know if right now, no, it's not sharing.
Yeah, I can see it. Just hit the full screen.
Okay. Okay, there you are, right?
No, we're seeing your back end of the slides, so we want to see just the full screen.
Okay, so just give me 1 second again. Better?
There we go. Go ahead. Take it away.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. So just to wrap up everything what Gillian and Arnold mentioned, you wonder, okay, so how career loans comes in place? It has to do with everything that they just said, right? So just to wrap up a little bit and in terms of what we do, so career loans is a program that is delivered virtually, right? So again, as all the advantages that Arnold and Gillian share, we also have this advantage of providing you with the best guidance possible, with a lot of expertise from us as counselors, and also to guide you through moving into a microloan if that's something that you are interested in. So this program is funded by the Government of Canada and is coordinated by the Center of Education and Training, and our financial institution that we partner with is HSBC. So about our program, this program is delivered, as you probably already know, in Alberta and Saskatchewan. We also have our colleagues in Ontario that deliver in-person service, but for us, career loans is uniquely virtually. We reach out to every little corner in Saskatchewan and Alberta, so we'll be more than happy to assist you with the services. We provide free career support advice and assistance with the microloans application. We'll walk you through all the processes that are required. And if you're planning, of course, to return to your career of choice, that's our area of expertise. We'll provide you with different options, the steps, a lot of things to think about it, not to give you the answer, because at the end of the day, you are the one who has to decide what is best for you, but certainly the best advice that we can provide you, we'll be happy to do so. So who's eligible? Oh, I'm sorry. Who's eligible? So would be international trained professionals that comes with background in regulated or non-regulated professions. So for instance, being a nurse like Arnold is a regulated profession. A non-regulated profession would be somebody in human resources, sales and marketing, even finance. But for all these other non-regulated professions, also there are associations that the program would be attached to. So we'll be happy to provide you with that specific advice. You have to be permanent resident, Canadian citizen, or conventional refugee, and have a minimum Canadian language benchmark of level 5. However, depending on what program you're getting into, as Gillian mentioned, you have to assess your language. And also with Arnold, there are different levels of assessment and specific English or technical knowledge on the communication part. So you have to speak to the regulatory body if that's the case. So as long as you are able to take a course, to communicate effectively, to do your homework, that means that you have a good level of language. We provide, apart from the free career and financial counseling advice, low interest for microloans up to 15,000, minimum 1,500 and maximum 15,000. We provide you with referrals to different employment services all across Saskatchewan and Alberta. We give you the roadmap for the accreditation process, because the accreditation process, depending if you go into engineer or you go into nursing or doctors, is quite complex. And the experts are the regulatory bodies that will guide you through that process. And if you decide, as also Arnold mentioned, and I think Gillian too, if you decide to go for an alternative career, maybe it's not too realistic for you to become a doctor right now because of whatever situation you have. So then there are other choices. Always remember, you always have different choices to make, and there are different opportunities to study and to prepare yourself. So some of the great benefits that we have amazing webinars like this one with experts like Arnold and Gillian today, with live guest speakers. We have the latest industry trends. We have incredible blogs, so with great content that Gavin is an expert on that. So take advantage of all these services. If you don't know something, look around, navigate our website. We can provide you with a lot of good tips and suggestions. So how we can help you? We are divided in 3 different sections. So the first one would be, once you register with us, it takes 2 seconds to register literally on the website. So we'll set up a virtual counseling session. Would be probably between 35 to 45 minutes counseling session where we assess where the individual is in the career path and determine the next steps. The next one would be referral to local service providers in a personalized manner based on your personal situation. Let's say that right now what you're looking for is for a job at the moment, for whatever reason is your short-term goal. So we'll provide you with great references, resources, connections for employment services so you can prepare yourself the best you can. And then if you decide, you know what, I need to complete my logistics certificate because I bring over 15 years of experience and I know the latest program is available at Saskatchewan Polytechnic or in Alberta. So then that's when career loans will come in place and will help. So we'll be happy to assist you throughout the process and help you to complete a microloan application. So our microloan is provided by HSBC, which we have a great partnership with them. And then, as mentioned before, up to 15,000 with a low interest rate, HSBC Prime plus 2%, and loan repayments of up to 4 years. Meaning, of course, if you are taking, for instance, the maximum that is 15,000, so you will have up to 4 years to pay, with the advantage that the interest will be locked, meaning that it won't go up. Doesn't matter what, in 2 to 4 years, it still will remain the same. So we have a great advantage on that. Some of the expenses that you can claim on your documentation while we help you to prepare that is called a learning plan. And you can include expenses such as your credential assessment. For regulatory bodies, you always have to do the accreditation, credential assessment, language assessment, training relevant to the program that you are interested on, up to 2 years of program. So if you're planning to do a PhD, PhD, so that's something that would be different. As Gillian said, it might take you up to 8 years, so that's not necessarily how career loans would be suitable, but it's more towards seeing you fast-tracking your knowledge, the sooner the better, with a certificate, with a designation, something that is a short-term up to 2 years. Licensing fees, membership and association fees that you always have to pay, union fees, for instance, practicum time that some of the programs offer, Norquest, I believe, and also in Saskatchewan Polytechnic, bridging programs that are available as well. So you can include all these type of expenses within your learning plan, and help you. We can help you with a microloan. So to contact us, please, just visit our website, www.careerloans.ca, or you can email us at info@careerloans.ca. And in Alberta, my colleague Rodica Barbu is ready for you guys. You can touch with her through our toll-free number is 1-888-928-1166, or at her cell 403-542-0812, or info-AB, which stands for Alberta, info-AB@careerloans.ca. And for me in Saskatchewan, 1-888-558-0282, and you can reach me at 306-491-2985. And if you want to email me, please do so, info.sk@careerloans.ca. And please, please, please follow us always. We are on all social media platforms. We are on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. So we are waiting just for you to be able to assist you. And thank you. So that's it for now. Okay.
Thank you, Claudia, for sharing career loans. We did get a question about career loans very briefly. If you can answer that while we're still here. Do people need to create a microloan application in order to access services, or can they just come on for the career counseling part?
Number two.
Number two.
Yes, number two, the short answer. If you decide for the time being, and many of the clients will come first, hey, Claudia, I don't know what to do first. These are some of the things that I'm good at and I have experience on. So that's when we do the career assessment for 35 to 45 minutes, but you have to register through our website.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Okay, so we are about to wrap up the webinar. Listeners in the chat, you can see I sent a link that is for our feedback. We would very much appreciate if you could complete the survey. It's going to help us a lot with our future webinars. And I want to promote another thing. Next Tuesday, we will have another webinar titled Employment Prospects for the Construction Sector in Saskatchewan. That will be on the 25th from 12:30 to 1:30 Mountain Time. And the link to sign up for that will be here. Let me see if I can send the link. Okay. And final reminder, I know Claudia, you already talked about the career loan social media. We are currently holding a contest. So please follow us on Facebook and Instagram for your chance to win some career loans goodies. And finally, this is the contact information. Claudia, you have already talked about Rodica and your own contact information. You can see them at the top. That's info.ab@careerloans.ca for Alberta, and Saskatchewan clients can go to info.sk@careerloans.ca. The toll-free number is also on screen as well. Gillian can be reached by email. Her email is also on screen, as is Arnold. So I want to thank everyone, Gillian, Arnold, Claudia, for taking the time to come with us. I know we went a bit overboard, but the content was just so good. It's really hard to jam pack all this great content in such a short time. So I appreciate everyone for coming on and listening to this webinar.
And I just want to say thank you again to our lovely panelists. We really appreciate all the knowledge that you imparted. I hope that our participants, our audience benefit. I'm pretty sure lots of learning, and we can't wait to see you again at some point. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.